Hi, everyone. Welcome to week three of digital forensics and fact checking. We have a three-part video lecture section this time. This first video, which you're watching now, is fact checking and corrections. Then we'll get into cool AI forensics tools. We played with one of them a little bit already. And then the third video lecture, we're going to talk about AI detection and plagiarism tools, and also talk about an almanac exercise. We're going to have to do some fact checking with it. It's a good exercise. I've used it for years. That's due Monday, July 6th at noon, if you're in my summer 2026 class. The readings for next week are relatively light. Verification Handbook, Chapter 2, just do items 3 through 6. Just read those sections. Should be able to get through it in less than 10 minutes. The American Journalism Handbook has a nice section on verifying information that complements what we're talking about quite nicely. And also this kind of a funny post, and you'll get a kick out of it when you see the name involved. How a journalist helped develop the term fake news and now regrets it. It'll be a name that we've talked about in this class quite a bit so far. And also, I'm going to have you take a look at my book chapter on fact checking as well. And that'll be included in this very first chapter, very first video lecture as well. A couple of resources I wanted to share with you, and they'll be linked off of your syllabus. This is a CSI library from the City University of New York, their College of Staten Island campus. CUNY's graduate school in journalism is one of the best on the planet. It's also free. If you get into their program, it's free tuition, which is really cool. It's covered by Craig Newmark, who invented Craigslist. He's a sponsor. It's a Craig Newmark graduate school of journalism there. They have this website post here called Websites for Fact Checking. And some of these are familiar to you. PolitiFact, factcheck.org, we've talked about, so is Snopes. Washington Post Fact Checker link is in here. Duke Reporters Lab has one. Here's a specialized one that I've used a couple of times called SciCheck. It goes through and focuses on false and misleading scientific claims. So there's some that specialize in just very specific areas. There's one on media bias and fact checking, and NPR Fact Check too. National Public Radio has a really good fact checking unit as well. There's several others listed in here. It's just a nice little list, worth bookmarking and coming back to. Another one of my favorites that's not on this list is BBC Verify. This is British Broadcasting Company, BBC, out of London. They always have the freshest news up here, and they fact check everything: images, video, audio, stories, blog posts, all kinds of things. And this is being recorded around the time of the U.S. Attack on Iran. So it's showing, there's video of this missile dropping in, on this town. And then they have the fact check that you can click on and read. It always has the fact checker's names at the top. And this one actually is kicking in as a subscription. You can actually go in and read these for free. For some reason, it's blocking me on this first article. But you can look through the BBC verification pages and articles that are all listed here. It's got some archived ones down here, and they pull them together as kind of grouped together. The U.S.-Israel war with Iran. There's also some videos, various investigations they've done on various topics as well. So there's a lot down here. They have video recordings where the fact checkers will talk about the fact check, which is really cool. Also, I mentioned one of our pieces of reading, and it's linked off your syllabus. It's also in our week 3 folder, is chapter 3 of my book, A Journalist Toolbox, a guide to digital reporting and AI. Instead of having you buy the whole book for $40, I just pulled chapter 3 out, which is the only thing that pertains really to this class. It's got some great resources in it up here. And then read through the different case studies that I put in here. I've interviewed a lot of different fact checkers. It starts with Nepalchek. I interviewed the founder of it, Deepak Adhikari, who's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And he talks about how he started the website and the importance of it. They fact check things all over the world, and they give you some great tips in here as well. So, and some more, links to resources and things like that. So make sure you knock out this reading as well. It'll be on your syllabus reading list. I've also got some correction and fact checking tips in here. This is an expansion of the lecture that I'm going to record here in just a minute with you. But it's just a handout that kind of complements this PowerPoint that I've got right here. So this is kind of a derivative of a lecture I do in my editing course on fact checking and accuracy. I've added a few things to it and modified it a little bit. So if you've had my editing course, this may look somewhat familiar to you. But again, I've kind of souped it up for this class a little bit. One of the things my journalism professors always told me, the worst fact-checking resource is your memory. Oh yes, I remember that date and you're off a year. And trust me, the older you get, the more mistakes you will make. So always stop and look things up, either on the web, an almanac, print almanac, online almanac, whatever. And I always love this old saying, if your mother says she loves you, check it out. Never take anything for granted. Every editor I've ever worked for has always said this. If your mama says she loves you, check it out. Don't take anything for granted. And that's an easy thing to do when you're writing from memory. So common editing errors, things to look for when you're going through and editing a story, and this falls under fact checking. Names, odd spellings of names. Is it Smith with or without an E? Walter E. Smith Furniture here in Chicago spells it with the E on the end. That name gets misspelled all the time. I see it in stories everywhere. Statistics and numbers, especially if they're unattributed, always double check them. Addresses and phone numbers. Can't tell you how many times newspapers have run corrections on. We apologize for getting the phone number wrong yesterday to this, giveaway or this event or whatever. It was off by one digit, and somebody's home phone number got thousands of phone calls that day. Those are very embarrassing mistakes. Photo captions and headlines are very ripe territory for misspellings. Always double check if there's a name in a headline. Double check it against the story. Go out and look it up online. Same with photo captions. Sometimes the photographers turn in a photo, the name's spelled differently than it is in the story, and you need to flag that. So this is some very fertile ground here for finding errors when you're editing and fact checking a story. The photo identifications I mentioned. Other areas where editors make mistakes. If you're going through and editing, and you see a paraphrase where someone said something and it's attributed to them, don't put direct quotation marks around it. That's a common error among young editors. Or trying to go in and fix quotes, fix the grammar in the quote. Do so in brackets if you're doing that. And always talk to the reporter about clarity. So if you see something like, Mayor Brandon Johnson said Thursday that Chicago's going to raise its sales tax by 1.5%. That's paraphrasing what he said. Don't put quote marks around everything after said. That means it's a direct quotation, meaning that's exactly what he said. This is a big error that a lot of young editors make in my editing classes, in newsrooms, everywhere. What are some fact-checking resources? We've talked about a lot of them online, the different fact-checking tools. Phone books, you can check name spellings. And of course, we make an error here in spellings, and we go in and we always check that and fix that right away. Little typo there. See, your instructor isn't immune to these types of mistakes. So online phone book, check name spellings and phone numbers there. They also have something called a crisscross directory that you can Google. Crisscross directory for a city. In some less populated states will have them as well. We can match an address to a name or a phone number. Maybe you have the address, but you don't have the person's name or contact information that lives there. This is used quite a bit by reporters that are covering breaking news. Maybe there's a house fire and they need to get a hold of a neighbor or somebody that lives nearby. They use the crisscross directory. And I'll open it up and show you. I did a little Google search on them. Online crisscross directories. And there's a bunch of them in here. Most of them are free. The Library of Congress actually has a whole inventory of them that you can go through and look at, city by city. There's many others here that you can see. So you can just open them up. I would type in, Nebraska or Lincoln, Nebraska, or whatever city name you want, and include the city and the state in it. So, crisscross directories, you just type in an address, and it gives you the person's name and phone number, as long as it's not an unlisted number of some kind. And this will work for landline numbers. It often works for cell phone numbers too. If you're your cell number is listed somewhere. So, make sure you take advantage of that. And just the good old-fashioned online phone book, the online yellow pages, all these others. It's giving me a little difficulty there when I was reloading all this. The dictionary too, online almanacs, which we're going to work with in our third video. Encyclopedias, a thesaurus, for double checking. Synonyms and antonyms, encyclopedia for double checking facts. Maps, both print and online, confirming the name of a city or a street, things like that, name of a building even. The web, and I'm going to get into a slide in a minute about why just Googling something isn't enough. Reporter's notes, if you're fact checking a story, you call the reporter up and say, hey, this number doesn't quite add up or something. Can you check your notes? And that's a good habit to get into. Also, with larger news organizations, they still have news librarians. So many of them, unfortunately, have been laid off. And a lot of that falls on the reporters to do the fact checking. But I'd always call the news librarians at the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, when I worked there, and said, hey, I'm trying to confirm a stat. Can you go back and look in the archives for me? Most of this is done online now. You can tap into your own archives and look at it. But many times there's, newsrooms still have them to help you with fact checking. But most, large news organizations have them. Why Googling isn't enough. It's okay as a starting point, but many sites misspell or have the facts wrong on the website and never ran a correction on them. You got to use some critical thinking skills here. Is this an official website? Is it credible? How do I know? Look at the root of the site. Is it a .gov? Is it a government address? .org? Is it a nonprofit organization? Is it .edu? Is it an educational organization? .com? And anybody can set up these accounts, but if they're tied to a certain organization, go in and look over the site. Does it look official? Go to their about page. Is there contact information there? And also, you can look up who owns the site. Register.com has this. Whois.net is probably the best one, where you can type in the URL, and unless people have protected their identity on there, and some do, that it has the site's contact information there. It shows who owns the website. Can be very helpful. Always challenge the information you see on a website. When was the site last updated? Is it current? Does it have the most current statistics up there, or is there a study out there that might be more current? Could something have been changed since this information was posted? Can I call someone who handles the content to this site and confirm it? Is it the webmaster? Is it the editor of the website? Whoever, where I can confirm that information. Can it be verified through other resources? And who is updating this website? That's why we like to go into register.com, or even better, whois.net. And know who's running the website. That is key too. Is it a political action committee? Is it a hate group? Is it a university? Who's running the website? Where is this information coming from? Because there are a lot of websites with information that's totally false on it. So you want to make sure you're looking at a credible source. The Google test. This is kind of a little play on Google. If you type in, a name a couple different ways, I did Rod Blagojevich, former governor, who was later indicted and went to prison. You have his name misspelled up here with a Y. You type that in, it'll actually show you some stories and some websites that misspelled it that way. Usually they'll do a little correction. You'll say, did you mean to say, this, Blagojevich with a J? But sometimes Google offers that alternate spelling based on past searches, but it's not always reliable. So if you type Rod Blagojevich in two ways, you may see the correction at the top, you may not. And it will show you places where his name has been spelled right or misspelled as well. So just Googling a name, sometimes isn't enough. You want to go into the stories then and confirm them and make sure it's a credible. You got what that is spelled it correctly. It doesn't have a correction at the bottom of the story as well. Sometimes, they'll have the misspelled name in the story and they didn't go through and fix it, but it has a correction just pasted to the bottom of the story. So always read down to the end to make sure that there isn't a correction on it on the spelling. Look for inconsistencies in a story, especially when you're working with numbers. This is a little exercise I do with my editing class. If you look, the story lead here says United Way awarded 23,000 supplemental funds to the three agencies. And here are the three agencies listed: Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and Salvation Army. If you add up the numbers, it adds up to 24,000. And a lot of times editors will just say, oh, well, I'll change the number to 24,000 up here. That's wrong because you don't know which number is wrong. It could be any one of the four bold-faced numbers that are wrong. So what you do in this situation is you would call a reporter, also, maybe reach out to the United Way to see which they could confirm which number is wrong, and then fix it. So reporter and source are the two options you have if you're an editor that's doing a fact check on a story and notice the numbers don't add up. It happens a lot in like city budget stories and things like that. Press releases, I've seen them everywhere. Look for inconsistencies too in previous stories. This is a fun little exercise. In 1994, Bill Clinton, who was president at the time, said 58 million Americans couldn't get health insurance. Astronomical number. 2 weeks earlier, news outlets were reporting the number was at 39 million based on a study that they had seen. The previous year, it was 37 million, so maybe it had gone up 2 million. The Cato Institute had reported it was only 6 million. Well, God, you're seeing four radically different numbers here. Which one's correct? I mean, it's a big difference between 6 million and 58 million. And Bill never offered in his statement where he got that number from. So you need to, as a journalist, explain the differences. Are there different studies being used, different standards of measurement being used? This happens a lot with homicides data, mass shootings. Mass shootings, by definition, for a lot of news outlets, is four or more people killed. That's called a mass or shot. That's a mass shooting. Four. But some studies have different numbers, and they measure it by 10 or more. I've seen even 13 or more. So you always need to qualify and attribute the number. Where did this 37 million come from? And what does it mean by couldn't get health insurance? Does it mean they never applied for it or they were applied for it and were rejected? So that might mean the difference between these numbers. So always qualify and attribute the numbers. What is correct? And go beyond just one study. Look for multiple studies and any inconsistencies between them. Always avoid superlatives to best, first, only, biggest, unique. Saying that something is unique is a very dangerous thing because there might be somebody on the other side of the world that has done it too. And if something is labeled as a record number of people attending this game or something like that, you must research and double check that. These words should always give you an alarm in a story. You want to go in and fact check. And here's some examples of it. Back when the Columbine shootings at Columbine High School, the New York Times, Reuters, and UPI reported this is the largest death toll in an act of terrorism at one of the nation's schools. And this is straight out of the New York Times main story on the Columbine shootings in the late 1990s. Reuters, the country's worst school massacre. UPI, the worst school massacre in U.S. history. Were they right? Nope. Columbine had 12 students and a teacher, and the two gunmen died. A tragedy. But had they gone back and looked, now, had they said modern U.S. history, they would have been right here. But back in Bath, Michigan in 1927, 45 people, including 18 elementary students, died in a series of dynamite explosions at the school. It was an act of terrorism. Few reporters and editors knew of the Bath deaths, but nobody checked and looked up. Granted, it was a long time before this, is 70 some years before it. But go back and double check. Have somebody go research that topic, and maybe it'd be an interesting side story to this. That hey, we've seen something that really bad had happened before. And there's a lot of studies now, and a lot of people that are tracking, the shootings and the worst school shootings and things like that. But be careful. Fact check this by going into your archives. Googling could be a good start, but go in and try and find people that compile data on school shootings. There's a lot of data out there on it. Google Data Explorer is a really good one. Google Dataset Explorer is a really good one to look for those. What resources could you use? That would be a good starting point. You also need to know how to write a correction as a fact checker. Simply state that the fact was wrong and cite the correct fact. Don't repeat the error. Here's an example. The right way to do a correction, and hopefully you never have to write one, but reporters and sometimes copyers have to write them if they made a mistake. Usually on the Chicago Tribune, it shows up on page 2. Most of them have them there. Websites, sometimes they're buried at the bottom of the story. Other times they'll list them day by day in a little link kind of down in the bottom, breadcrumbs of a website, the little links at the bottom. They call them breadcrumbs. So the right way to do it, Governor Rod Blagojevich's name was misspelled in Thursday's editions. The Tribune regrets the error. They just spelled it right in the state. Okay. The wrong way to do it is to repeat the error. Governor Rod Blagojevich's name was spelled Blagojevich in Thursday's edition. The Tribune regrets the error. So don't repeat the mistake. Just correct it. Simple enough. Those are my sources for this lecture. The Art of Editing, Tribune is Chicago Tribune, LA Times editing guidelines, copydesk.org, and the now defunct regrettheerror.com. The site's no longer around. Hope you enjoyed this. We're going to get into some fact-checking tools for images in the next video, and then get into the almanac assignment after that.